So, thank you so much for joining me again. I'm going to start calling it a Wok Along. So instead of a cook along, we're actually having a Wok Along. So this is the chance in the week where the kids can learn some new skills and cook you parents some lunch. So it's a win-win scenario, I think. Music is brought to us today by Moana. So today we're going to cook an egg foo young. It's a real simple dish. I did this video years ago with my own little girl, who's now 13. She was a bit younger when we first did this. It's a nice simple one, something that the kids can sort of like do, and most kids like scrambled eggs. So foo young is just a little play on that with a few other ingredients in. This recipe, in the Chinese takeaway cookbook, which you can see to my right, it's called king prawn foo young. Obviously, the king prawns you just substitute for whatever we're going to use. So in today's foo young, obviously I've got 3 eggs, and these are fresh farm free range eggs, and it's even got feathers still. So when the chicken plopped these out of its backside, it gave me some of the feathers at the same time. So happy days. So all good. I've got fish sticks in mine. So these are just crab sticks, or fish sticks as they're called these days. I don't actually have any crab in it whatsoever, so maybe fish sticks. I've got end of an onion, which I've already used some of it, so we've got some onion here. I'm popping peas in mine, and we have spring onions. Now, I wanted to talk to you about the 3 flavours of Cantonese cuisine. Now, in Cantonese cooking, and you'll find that a lot of the Chinese takeaways and restaurants tend to be Cantonese restaurants. There are 3 ingredients that predominantly make it Cantonese. The first one being spring onion, okay, and the other 2 are ginger and garlic. Now, sometimes you'll find that garlic, ginger, spring onion, all 3 ingredients are in the recipe. Other times you'll only find the 1. So we're going to make a Cantonese egg foo young, okay? So, first thing we need to do, kids, is to crack our eggs, okay? So, I've got my bowl here, so I'm going to crack straight into this one. So if you can do it one-handed, see I'm holding the egg between my thumb and my first 3 fingers. I'm going to crack, okay, and all I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull the egg apart with my thumb, keeping it in place with my ring finger. So if you want to have a go and make a mess, crack it, support it with your thumb and your ring finger and just pull, and your egg should just plop out the bottom. Now, I used to be able to do this with both hands. So when my dad used to say, go and crack the eggs, we were talking about at least 10 or 12 trays of eggs. So yeah, you tend to be over the bowl doing it with 2 hands. So all good. Eggs are cracked. To that, I'm going to add just a tiny pinch of salt. Now, you don't have to, but I like to season the eggs. So I'm just going to add a bit of that. And I didn't bring a fork or chopsticks out with me, so I'm going to use the end of my spoon. So I'm just going to pierce the yolks, and I'm just going to whisk the eggs. So there are my eggs whisked. Okay, now we're going to chop the onions. So I'm just going to take the top part off. The root's already been taken off. I'm just going to take this dry bit off. So off that comes. Pop that into my bin, and I'll chop this in half. And I'm just going to take the outside layer off. I can't use that because it's dry and it'd be chewy. Okay, now my onions aren't that big now, so all I'm going to do, I'm just going to chop this in half, and then I'm just going to chop cubes. So that's that one. And there's my other. If you're now using ham or chicken or king prawns or shrimps, it's now time to prep those. So I'm going to chop my fish sticks into 3 chunks maybe. So there's the first cut, there's the second, giving me 3 chunks now. So you do that with your ham and chicken now if you're putting that in. Or if you've got mushrooms, chop those up into slices. If the mushrooms aren't too big, you can chop them into quarters, because obviously this is a very quick one, so it won't have a lot of time in the wok. And the last thing is I'm going to chop my spring onions. So I'm just going to chop these in half, and then I'm going to put them all together, and I'm going to just do ringlets. Now, I'm not actually going to cook the spring onion at all. I'm going to use this as a garnish after we finish. Those ends are just a little bit dry, so I'll put those in the bin. And there's my spring onion. And all of my ingredients are now ready. So the hearts, does that mean we're all ready to go? Perfect, we're all hungry, aren't we? Cool, okay, let's get cooking. So I'm gonna stick my wok on, and I'm just gonna give that a minute or so just to get up to temperature. Again, you don't wanna start cooking in a wok until it's nice and hot, okay? Big and tall, so John Banks has just joined. What do you think? So I don't very often wear this, so I've got my white t-shirt under my blue denim shirt, which I'm using as a bit of a snot rag because my nose is running. Sorry, John Banks. But thanks for all the clothes. So my wok, so all I'm doing is hovering my hand over my wok. I don't want to get too close, I don't want to burn myself, but I can just start feeling the heat just coming out of that wok now. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of oil, maybe a tablespoon and a half. And that goes in. Now I'm going to use my chopper, but obviously be careful if you're using a knife. We're just going to transfer our onions over into our wok, and you'll hear straight away that it starts sizzling. That tells me the wok was hot enough for me to start cooking. And I'm just going to soften these for about 2 minutes. Everything else is cooked. The crab sticks are cooked. If you're putting mushrooms in, or raw chicken or king prawn or anything else that needs a little bit longer, you can pop that in with your onions now, okay? Okay, so onions are starting to brown already and soften. Give it 1 more minute, and then we'll give it a bit of a season, then we'll get our eggs in and we're done. This is a real quick one, so we're going to be eating in about 5 minutes time. My onions now are well and truly browned and softened. I'm going to get in my crab stick, and I'm going to pop my peas in now. Now normally I tell you not to pop your peas in until the end because they go brown, but the egg cooks really quickly. So I'm just going to pop my peas in, and then to that I'm just going to add a pinch of salt, so about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then about 1/8 of white pepper. Kids, if you don't like it hot, don't put any white pepper in. I'm just going to give that a mix, just so they're starting to warm. So you can see now everything's mixed together, it's seasoned. And I'm going to take my eggs, and I'm just going to pour my eggs all over the vegetables. And instead of just pouring it all into the middle, I've actually poured it over everything. Now I just want to leave that alone just for a minute, just while the egg starts to set, and then I'll start moving it. Now we talk about getting some extra flavour into your food. It's called Wok or Breath of the Wok, and it's where we get a little bit of caramelisation or browning on the food. That can only happen if you leave it alone. So I'm just going to swirl this egg around a little bit just to make sure that all of the bottom of my wok is covered. So if you can see that, you can see my wok, all of it is covered. And like I said, leave it alone for a second. Okay, so now I'm just going to start folding this egg in on itself. And once it's folded, very carefully, we're just going to flip it. You see how I flipped the whole thing over? So now I've got, the top is on the bottom. If you can't do that, you can use a fish slice or a spatula, and you can just put it underneath and then flip it over. Okay, so just be careful there. See, I'm okay because I can toss a wok. Normally, sometimes it goes all over the place. Now, I like the middle of my fuyang a little bit soft still, but it's up to you. If you like your eggs cooked really well done, cook it a little bit longer, but I'm literally going to give this 20 seconds and I'm going to be done. But in the middle, I can see that it's still a little bit soft, so that's still cooking away. What I'll do, I'll give it one more flip, switch off the heat, and I'm just going to put my fuyang onto my plate, and then I'm going to take some of these spring onions and I'm just going to sprinkle it over, and there we have it. One seafood stick fuyang cooked in about 5 or 6 minutes, and yeah, job done. So don't forget, every Wednesday I'm going to be doing the cook-alongs with the children at 12 o'clock. I am looking at doing 3 of these a week in the evenings. Haven't decided exactly what days are going to be suitable for me and when I can fit them in. But definitely Wednesday night at 6:30, that's staying. And yeah, you can wok along every Wednesday, 12 o'clock, 6:30, and she'll let you know about the 2 other dates. Thank you again for joining. Go and enjoy your lunch. It's beautiful weather. Go and enjoy the sunshine. Remember guys, as much as you can, stay at home, stay safe, and let's do as much as we can just to help the NHS. All right, I shall see you all very soon. Bye bye.